Something resting on my mind. Wouldn't have been here, baby, long, honey, had not been for you. Wouldn't have been here very long, honey, had not been for you. When I hear you say, honey, where you wanna be? When I hear you say, sugar, where you wanna do? Come on, baby, come on. Johnson on the guitar, y'all. That's it. That's why I love them. You know, the first time I heard this song, I was 21 years old, and I was living in Memphis, Tennessee, and I had a real bad dope problem. I wasn't into the heroin yet, but I was deep into the crack. And I was staying in a little flop house on Union Avenue for $25 a week to stay up there on a mattress. And there were rats in there, and it was not always the safest place to be. And every night I'd go out and I'd play on the street because I was unemployable. And sometimes people give me money, and sometimes I could get high afterwards. So I was out there one night and came walking down the street with three men. Kenny Kimbrough, David Malone Kimbrough, Dwayne Burnside. And they asked me, they said they came to Memphis looking for a saxophone player because they liked the band War. They said because they liked the band War, maybe they would hire a harmonica player. But then I would have to audition for the gig. So they asked me to meet them the next day at 4 p.m. at the Pizza Hut in Holly Springs. Because this was back in 95, y'all. We didn't have cell phones yet, no cell phones. So we were, so I drove down to the Pizza Hut and there they were waiting for me, you know. And they took me back to the house and I passed the audition and David showed me a room. And he said, this is where you're gonna live, you're gonna stay with me. But you can't be doing that dope if you live here. You can smoke weed and you can drink corn liquor, but you cannot be smoking that crack in this house. I said, no problem, David. I'm happy. I'm gonna stay. And I did. And that night we went out to a club called Sue's in Holly Springs, Mississippi. And when we got there, somebody had just gotten stabbed in the parking lot. Stabbed, yeah. And I didn't want to get out of the car. I said, David, I don't think I should go in there, man. Because there wasn't just no white people at the club. There wasn't any white people for miles and miles. But David said, don't worry, kid, you're with me. So we went into the club and I took my amplifier and I put it on the stage and I sat on it. So nobody would confuse my motives for being there. Okay. And then put a chair right next to me and sat down next to me for the first time in my life. I met him when he was going to play a song with me, the great R.L. Burnside, ladies and gentlemen. He sat right next to me, you know. And he sang the lyrics that I've been singing to you, but I was too young to understand them. I was too young. And unfortunately now, I understand them perfectly well, perfectly well. I'll sing them again. She might jump a baby long, hanging out on the line. She might jump a baby long, hanging out on the line. No, something resting on my baby man. No, something resting on my mind. Break it down from my bone. Is it okay to tell another story? Yeah. So I was like 18 years old. I went to see my father for the first time. I hadn't seen him since I was 10. And the first thing he said to me when he opened the door in his bathrobe with a 38 sitting in his dick hanging out, the first thing he said is, son, do you know how to roll a joint? I said, yeah, Dad. He said, come on in, come on in. Well, one night he got sick of me and he kicked me and my brother out. So we walked from Falmouth, Maine, all the way into Portland, Maine, in the middle of a blizzard. And we were cold and not dressed properly. And when we got into Portland, we hooked up with some hippies and we decided it'd be a good idea to take some LSD. So we had fun for a little while. And then about 8 hours later, we were cold. And we didn't know where to go. And we were walking down High Street, and at the bottom of High Street there was a light on at 4 in the morning, and inside the window of that house, that apartment, was an American flag lit up. And I said, Noah, that's my brother's name, Noah. I said, Noah, we can go there. And I knocked on the door of a total stranger's house, and he opened the door, a man with a wooden leg, and he said, dun, dun, dun. And we came in, and he said, you guys want a couple bong hits? And I said, yeah, man, yeah. He said, sit down, sit down. And then he pulled a record. He had vinyl back when there was cassettes and CDs. He still had the vinyl. He pulled a record out of that. And he said, you ever heard the Canned Heat? And I said, no. And he said, man, you're not going to believe this harmonica player. And I said, I'm a harmonica player. He said, not like this. And he put on this song, and I didn't understand what it meant. And all these years later, I'm sorry to report, I understand exactly what it meant when John Lee Hooker said, "Women and whiskey alone just about done wreck my life. Women and whiskey alone just about done wreck my life. Well, I had money today, but women and whiskey, they tore me down. Break it down, break it down. Well, if I ever get back on my feet again, well, if I ever I'll get back on my feet again, I'll never let women and whiskey and dope wreck my life anymore. 'Cause nightlife ain't no good for me. Nightlife and women and cocaine done got the best of me. Yeah, well, if I ever get back on my feet again.